Okay, it is 6 p.m., so we will go ahead and call this meeting to order. We'll move to 2.0, adoption of the agenda. We'll bring to your attention, we do have a couple of addendums to the agenda, and then there's been a request to move item 10.0, which is a discussion and action on technology department structure, down below the executive session 11.5, and so we will modify the agenda to do that as well. So the three modifications are the two addendum items, and then moving item 10.0, and then we will also have a couple friendly amendments to the action on personnel when we get there. Some of those items will be removed when we get there. So with that, we need a motion to adopt the agenda as amended and addended.
All right, so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt the agenda and the addendum. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, item 3.0, approval of the minutes from the February 18th meeting and the March 4th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, and the approval of those minutes on the February the 18th meeting, the vote to approve Rick Giefer's Transportation Director contract for the 21-22 year was recorded incorrectly during the meeting. The vote count was 5 yes and 1 no, so the minutes do reflect that correct count. And we just had to say
Okay.
that out loud.
All right, thank you. So it's been moved and seconded to approve those minutes. Any discussion? Did you get the?
Yep.
Okay, all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item 4.0, consideration of bills and warrants, pages 11 through 33 in your packets. Any discussion on those?
Move to approve the bills and warrants as presented.
Second?
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to pay the bills and warrants. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 5.0, hearing of requests and suggestions of citizens and organizations. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board? Okay, hearing none and seeing none, we will move to item 6.0, which is a special report from Mr. Aaron Burke, our high school choir teacher.
Hello.
Hello?
How are you all?
Good.
Okay, so we got invited, what is this, March 15th? We got invited at the end of February to perform at Carnegie Hall next March. And that's a pretty big deal. I did a quick little survey with my kids to see if they were interested, an interest survey, and they seemed quite interested, so we went ahead and got the ball rolling. I decided just to make sure that we had a good representation of numbers to include, give the opportunity to recent alumni, because this particular concert with this group is not just for high school aged kids. So I decided, and because of COVID and everything, last year's seniors, and just I just kind of wanted to open it up to kids who have graduated in the last few years. So I've got a good deal of interest. Where are we showing here? View only? Okay. I'll present it now. That's a video that just gives a little intro to Manhattan Concert Productions. This runs a lot like trips of the past where we go and practice and sing. The little difference here is it would not just be our kids that would be singing as a choir. It would be us with other people from around the country. We would rehearse a couple hours. We would have to learn all the material before we got there. That would include alumni. And we would rehearse, and usually their choirs are between 200 and 300 singers. So it'd be an opportunity for all of our current and previous graduated music company students to participate and sing in that. The agenda is March 26th. We would leave early from either Tulsa or Kansas City. Arrive at New York, check in the hotel, have a rehearsal. Dr. Julie Yu from K-State is the person that is a clinician to conduct this large choir. She's who I studied with at K-State, and she is the one who gave our school's name to these people. She's phenomenal. She's done about 30 state choirs, which is the top level, about as good as you can get at the state level for high school musicians. And she's been doing that all over. She's very inspiring, and it would be great for those kids to get an experience like this in that place with somebody who is as innovative and unique as Dr. Yu. We would be staying right in the middle of Times Square. We would see 27th is pretty much a full sightseeing day with the Broadway show, Top of the Rock, which is 30 Rockefeller Center. 28th, we would rehearse, check in, perform at Carnegie Hall, post-show buffet. There'd be more time depending on what time specifically the show is, and then the 29th we would leave. And the 30th, go to school. And my seniors who I have in class right now are like, nuh-uh. I was like, okay. So this is the same presentation I gave to the kids. Top of the Rock, that's the hotel that we're staying at right there. And they're like, there's a Subway? It's like, no, that's just a sign. But they're, the kids that we have in some of these this is the main performance hall in Carnegie, and that's where we would be performing. So yeah, this is on my bucket list to perform at Carnegie Hall and to give our kids the chance to do that. So many of these kids are like, I haven't been out of the four-state area before. We're going on a plane in the sky, so it's pretty, it could be exciting. Broadway show, we don't know exactly what it would be, but I was a senior in high school when we went to New York with the Kindles, and we saw Wicked, and that's a phenomenal experience. Requirements is this total with flight is about, I'm going on the high end, is about $1,500. I have a payment plan here given. And they have to give me, still pending school board approval. That's why I'm here right now. And so the deposit's refundable right now. We will do just the simple fundraiser that I do, which is, instead of $20 for a candle and we keep $8 of the profit, maybe you could give me $20. And that has worked for a small scale like Silver Dollar City, but I think that if a kid tried really hard, they could get that money. Also, I told them, you got the summer, mow some lawns, do some, babysitting, that kind of thing. Info sheet, I gave that to the kids. Quick COVID answers, because the world, we don't know what tomorrow is like, but we have full refund available to October 1st, no questions asked. A tiered refund after that. If there's a government forced shutdown because of several new waves or variants or whatever, we would get a full refund. They would give us a $100 per person bonus refund if we allowed them to pay us back in 12 monthly installments, and a $200 credit per person if we rescheduled the trip. So if they had to cancel this trip because the state of New York said, no, if we rescheduled it, then we would get a credit. There are all kinds of things. Let's say Broadway's not open yet by next March, which they're planning. None of this would be offered if the people running this, the people at Carnegie Hall, et cetera, are not projecting that it'll be open. So they're planning that it'll be open all next year. But there are other things that they're willing to do to still give an experience of a lifetime. But yeah, the goal is to sing in one of the best venues in the world. And it's been a while since we've gone on a trip like this as a choir department. So yeah, I thought, you know what, with COVID and with all the craziness and all that, it's time to get this. And I would like to also get this into a 4-year rotation. So that way, if I've got a kid in music for 4 years, they'll have a chance one time to go on a trip like this. Not New York, maybe Disney World, maybe, But yeah, so ta-da. So I guess what I'm specifically asking for is allowing us to travel out of state, and then probably would need transportation for our students to whichever airport that we would book through. So busing, and pick us up would be good. So this one's a little bit different than normal because of the alumni portion of it. But I've got, on my list, I've got right at 50 people who are wanting to go. Between alumni, half of the kids are our current students, and then chaperones. So chaperones on top of the adult-aged alumni. Okay.
So
Parents.
basically, how many alumni do you have going? roughly?
Alumni, I have, oh, this is in my computer. Alumni, I only have, so I can do the backwards math. I only have like 5 adult chaperones who are not singing. We have a couple of chaperones who are coming, like Melissa Nance, who does the choreo and dust kickers and stuff. She wants to sing in the choir. And I want to sing in the choir, you know. So we have 5 who are not actually performing. So then we have 20 alumni that would be singing, and then 25. It's right at 25 kids that will actually still be enrolled next year.
Okay, 25 students out of how many could possibly?
So my music company next year, I released last week, is at 34. So there are 9 kids on that list that have either opted out because they don't feel comfortable traveling, because they don't want to be, they don't, the thought of performing at that level is something that scares them, or the financial.
Yeah,
So you're not,
Go ahead, that's all right.
so you're not asking for any money from the board? You're
I'm
just
not asking for specific money, I'm asking for transportation.
Why not?
You have a lot of things to spend money on. Yep.
Well, your logic was, it's a chance of a lifetime for some
Absolutely.
kids that would never even
Absolutely.
leave Parsons, yet alone Kansas.
Yes. And like I said, several of the kids have never,
And
who want to go, have never been on an
Being a
airplane.
high poverty area,
Mm-hmm.
we're giving kids an opportunity that they will probably never get,
Absolutely.
so, okay.
But
When-
we're not going to pay for alumni.
No.
Well, that would be my next question.
When you went with Mr. and Mrs. Kendall.
Right.
What was that? How did you do that? Was it,
That was just our current students, and that was about, 40, I don't know, that was a decade ago.
But I
It was
mean,
like
who-
40 kids, but we paid for it
the kids?
all, yeah, and fundraised and did that. That's kind of when the traveling, well, I guess Robert took kids to Washington DC. After that, that's kind of when we stopped going far out. We've done, Silver Dollar City trips, and he did an Oklahoma trip once. so-
Well, we went to Chicago one year with Norma Jean Seaton.
Yeah. I mean, way back, we were, the Kindles, gym, and there was a time where we did the full fine arts department. We did Six Flags, we did Winter Park. What am I saying? San Antonio. I said Six Flags. We went to Six Flags. I remember that because I was a freshman and I like roller coasters. But so these are things that you remember. And with those experiences, yes, they were great, but we didn't have a chance to perform. I mean, we went to New York and we performed in a concert, but it was at some performing arts center in New York. It wasn't Carnegie Hall. I mean, so this is a very privileged and unique thing to be a part of. We would do a concert with that repertoire. We have to submit it 30 days beforehand to say, hey, we know this stuff. So we're not going to be, we're in New York and now we're in 8 hours of rehearsal to go. It's just kind of put it together and then go experience New York. So, yeah.
So are you still planning to go to SDC this year?
So that's something that I haven't communicated really with Silver Dollar City just because of COVID, because of how many kids can I put on a bus, that kind of stuff, Ideally, sure, but.
Well, what my thought was on that, all students would be able to afford that more.
Yes.
And I know
Yes.
there's no restrictions down there as far as the
Right.
number of people coming in through June.
Right.
And so that's just why I was.
Yeah, it just kind of,
Took the back burner.
there's just a lot of things to look at with the musical going on right now, and that's all that, there's a lot. But, I would love it, but I don't even know what our busing requirements are in district right now. Like, I'm not gonna come and ask for 3 charter buses, for 40 kids or whatever, just to make that space. But
Now, when you
that's
said-
kind of where we are with.
When you
Silver
said
City.
government forced shutdown, are you talking about the state of New York?
That would be the state of New York or, the
City.
mayor of New York saying, no Broadway, no performance venues, no, anything like that. So again, the people that run these places, they wouldn't be offering these packages again, if they didn't think they were planning, if they didn't think they were planning to be open. So,
How did you reach out to the alumni?
I just went back through kids who have graduated in the last, I think the oldest alum we have going, as far as like kids who I've had, are 22. So we're talking 4 years. So I just reached out to those kids who graduated, who went all the way through music company with me and graduated. So
charter bus, so the assumption would be by next
these-
year, you
Mhm,
would be
sorry.
able to have a full bus.
the assumption for you guys would not be a charter bus to the airport, it would just be school busing. We were talking about Silver Dollar City. In the past, I've come and asked for a charter bus to go to Silver Dollar City. But with this, that's not necessarily what I'm asking for.
So what's the transportation?
It would be a school bus, not a charter.
Sounds like fun. I rode that school bus to Chicago.
Yeah. I rode, we're going 2 hours.
It's just to the airport
Yeah,
though,
just to
Lou.
Tulsa.
Oh.
Just to
Oh, yeah.
Tulsa.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I
Yeah.
misunderstood.
Yeah.
Just to the airport, they
Yeah.
get on an airplane, fly to New York City.
All right,
Our buses are nice, but they are not 20 hours on the road nice.
we drove that school bus all the way. to
No.
Chicago.
Uh-uh.
Yeah, crazy.
We took a charter bus to San Antonio, and that was plenty. Yeah, but no, we would be flying. And that's why this price is approximate. You can't even go to any airline and get pricing that far out right now. So this is
Insurance cover.
my approximate totals. Yes.
Student accident.
So you have an adequate number of sponsors.
We have an adequate number of sponsors for the school student, the students going, not counting the alumni going. So parents of some of the kids who are going, et cetera. A couple of teachers. Yeah.
What did you say the estimate was, about 1,500?
It's about 1,500
Per
for
student.
performing students.
Okay.
It's about 11 for chaperones.
Okay, any further questions here for Mr. Burke? Any comments from the board before?
I think it's a good deal, and I would like to see a rotation. I think.
Yeah, I would really like to get on a 4-year just to, yeah.
And
Mike?
it doesn't necessarily have to be there, maybe
No.
somewhere else.
Yep.
Mike, did you have something?
I'd just like to make a motion that we approve this trip and provide bus transportation to the airport.
Second?
Okay, been moved and seconded to approve this out-of-state trip along with the necessary in-district busing. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Burke.
Thank you.
Good luck.
I'll get out of here.
Awesome.
We will move on to 7.0.
All right, okay, so my update for the board, a lot of things have happened in the last month. Most recent, we have parent-teacher conferences. I probably should go in order, shouldn't I? That helps. Okay, I'll go in order. State basketball was last week. Our boys did make it to state basketball. They lost in the first round on Monday in Lewisburg. So, okay, moving on to the COVID update for the district. And so at one point when I wrote my board report, I had some numbers, and then I checked again at 5 o'clock and the numbers had changed. That's how that works. So here's the information as of 5 o'clock. All staff that wanted the vaccine have been given the vaccine, both shots, and they're 14 days out from that. So that that is good to have. Last week, we had 0 positive students and 0 positive staff. We had no active cases of COVID last week in the district. As of today, at 5 o'clock, we now have 1 positive student. So the quarantine numbers today, as of 5 o'clock, we have 7 elementary kids quarantined, 7 middle school, high school kids quarantined, and it looks like 3 staff members now that are quarantined. So I have the sheet for third quarter, because that ended on Friday afternoon. So the page that you have, like, it looks like this, it has the data from first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. So third quarter, we had 27 confirmed active cases of COVID. 9 of those were staff and 18 were student. Third quarter, we had 189 quarantines of student and staff both. And it could have been that in that 189, it could have been that 1 student was quarantined twice or 3 times, but 189 quarantines, 12 involved staff and 177 involved students. So there have been some question about transmission at school and in the classroom. You know, second quarter, we had some with wrestling, basketball. It was hard to determine exactly where. We'd been at another activity at another school where someone had tested positive, and then some of our kids did. As a result of that, this third quarter, we do have 1 confirmed case, and that was at a school activity as well, at a school function type, you know.
Let me stop you for, did you say some of the staff is fully vaccinated, both?
Yes.
What percent would that be of all of our staff?
I would say it's about 80%.
80?
I would say right around the 80, 85.
So some refused it, correct?
Some did refuse, and that was their, you know.
Their option.
That was their option.
Now, can they get it down the road if they decide they want it?
Yes, absolutely. If they decide they want it, they just contact Amber Jones, our nurse. She is employed by CHC, and she can get them.
Because the
set
Johnson Johnson 1 shot is available now here,
Right.
from what I heard today.
So Amber can take care of that if they want to. But there were some that weren't able to, for a variety of medical reasons as well. So, any questions about that? Okay, moving on to ESSER 2. You've heard a lot about it. ESSER stands for Elementary and Secondary Schools Emergency Relief. That's where the ESSER comes from, okay? So this is the ESSER 2. The first round in the beginning, we called it CARES money. Do you remember that? And then they said, oh, wait, this is more formal. And so now we're on round 2 of this, which is the 1.9 million. There are 15 different ways it can be spent. I included today for you just some fun reading. These are the 15 different categories, so it's in your packet if you want to look at that. Now, currently, the plan is you have to fill out an application for the money and tell the state, here are the ways that we're going to spend it. Then we're going to bring that to you, to the board, and the board's going to say yay, okay, or nay. Then we send that to a committee at KSDE, and that's a group of, I think, 13 individuals. They're going to review all the district's plans and say, yes, that's a go, or no, that doesn't meet the criteria, you need to change the plan. We have 30 months, well, we have until September of 2023 to spend this money, and plans may change. So what we initially say we need may change, and that's okay. We would just update the plan, approve it, and then send it to the committee to be approved again. So right now, the application has not been released. So I don't know what the application's gonna look like in that process, but we have started talking with administrators and about possible uses for that, and we've talked about that as well. So, any questions about that ESSER 2 money?
Well, on one of the Kansas Association of School Board meetings, some of the legislators in Topeka want to subtract the monies that each school district gets from the school funding that we currently get. That's one of their goals.
Yeah,
Have you,
I have-
is that not true?
right. I have heard that. It's my understanding, hopefully people have reached out and encouraged their legislators, and we're fortunate because our representatives are very pro-education when we've reached out. So,
Who wants to do that?
always a
The
possibility.
some of the legislators in Topeka,
So, yeah.
the ones that are pushing for vouchers and school choice, also want to take away this money coming in.
And I think that the thing is, this is federal money, and they can only take away state money. So what they're saying is, oh, you got this federal money, so then we won't give you as much state money. However,
Is that House Bill 2119?
is that 2119? Yes, I think it is. So,
Yep, 2119.
possible, I don't think very likely.
I think that what they want to do is supplant
It's a
state
plan,
money with the federal money.
right. And legally, you can't,
You
I mean,
can't do
that's,
that. I don't think you can do that.
I don't think you can either. That was part of the court case, when they went through for equitable funding, fair funding years ago.
Gannon money.
Yeah, the Gannon cases, you're right. Next thing is Navigating Next, which you've heard about because I just made a copy of this sheet for you, and I made it in color so you could see. What this is this is KSDE's recommendation for how we need to, the things we need to do between, it was like February and the end of May. So I just want to kind of give you an update on where we're at. Now, first category was fiscal and operational management, vaccinate your staff. Check mark. That is done. We've done that. So plan to spend those funds strategically to support local plans. We've started to talk about that. We're collecting ideas, making plans. Hopefully the application itself will be out this week. We'll see so that we can look. The next one where it talks about communicating and engaging with families. We've done that. Our administrators have reached out to folks. Durden is now also getting us a list of everyone who left last year and didn't come back and where they went, so that we're able to specifically reach out to those families. Now, some of them have moved, like Wichita or Oklahoma, but those, and then we'll be able to reach out, make those connections and conversations with them. So student learning is the next thing, to conduct those learning surveys and analysis. We've done that with our MAP data, with our DIBBLS data. Next month, the instructional coaches will be here to present to the board and talk about, okay, here's how we use the data, here's the data we've collected, here's what it's telling us. So they'll be here in April to share that with you. Next is academic delivery and support, that getting the class prepared for the 2021 year. The high school's working on that, working with those seniors, and so that's something that is happening and will continue to happen. Also, all the administrators are here today to talk about the summer opportunities and those extended school opportunities, so that's under there as well. Let's see, that social emotional learning, that's something that is continuing. And we still have the mental health grant, which is, it's been very, very useful for our kids. That's going to continue through the summer as well. And, then we have some Greenbush opportunities this summer for kids that will hopefully, do some of that social emotional connections. And the administrators can tell you, they've done fun things in the building for staff to keep them encouraged and happy. So planning a master schedule, well, we haven't started that yet. There've been talks, preliminary talks, the middle school and the high school about maybe kind of what that schedule may need, but we're going to need to continue to work on that. So we've started these things are a work in progress, but that's kind of where we're at. Any questions about that?
You skipped over high school swim update, strategic plan update.
Oh, darn
Yeah.
it. See? Okay, well then, let me go back. Okay, so the high school swim update, here's what we had, because at the last board meeting, someone had said, hey, why aren't we doing swim? And so we did some checking. The pool at the State Hospital and Training Center is still closed to outside guests. Dr. Culver sent that email, and so the pool is not available. The pools in Pittsburgh aren't available for student use. Pittsburgh students come and usually co-op with Parsons kids because they don't open the Y or the weed, even when it's not during COVID. And right now with COVID, people aren't taking co-op students to swim. So now the coach and the AD hadn't been contacted by a parent or anyone with concerns about that swimming, okay? just so that you're aware. But that's where we're at. So next year, hopefully that'll be a go. The other thing is the strategic plan. So you have another draft copy, given it to administrators, they're sharing it with staff, we're collecting things. I'd like for you to spend the next 2 or 3 weeks just looking at it, picking through. If you have suggestions or ideas, please call and let me know. We're gonna present something to look at in April, so that then it can be voted on either April or May. So moving forward, we have a plan. Now, all of these things were done pre-COVID, and so when you look through some of it, it's not applicable to say we're gonna go 1-to-1 in 3 to 5 years. We went 1-to-1 in 3 months. That's done. So there are some of those things. Okay. What else? Okay, so tonight and Wednesday, parent-teacher conferences, middle school, high school. We did them all on Zoom or on the phone. We didn't have people come in person, simply because that's a lot of people coming in and out of the building. We're still trying to, and wandering around everywhere in the building, not just a certain spot. So high school, middle school had pretty good attendance first quarter when we did those. So elementary, that's on Tuesday and Thursday from 4 to 7:30. So if someone is watching and they think, oh, well, I don't have a conference time, please call the high school, middle school, one of the elementary schools. They'll be happy to visit with you and set up a time to do that, either via Zoom on your student's device if you need to, or to visit on the phone. This Friday, school's not in session. It is a comp day for conferences, and so it's kind of like the beginning of spring recess. And all week next week, students and staff are out for spring recess.
Anything further?
I had one more thing. I got something really exciting in the mail, and maybe Kurt's is Mr. Freeze here? He's probably gonna talk about it. Is it?
Go ahead.
He said go ahead.
Okay, so every year at Pittsburgh State, they have 2 big awards. They have an Administrator of the Year, and then they have an Outstanding Elementary Educator of the Year. And so that's for someone who, in their first 7 years of teaching, practice has indicated already that they are going to be an outstanding teacher. They are, and they have wonderful potential. So someone recommends you, you have to have letters that go with it, and then, so people nominate, and then one is chosen. And our own Cody Holmes from Guthridge was selected to receive the Pittsburgh State University College of Education Outstanding Elementary Educator Award for the spring of 2021.
Great news.
Yay, Cody! I mean, that's a big thing. So typically they have a presentation on campus, but with COVID, he's gonna get to turn in a little video that then they will share, but I'll pass around the letter that Kurt sent over in the mail today. So happy news. There are great things happening in our schools every day. So we've got good staff that are working hard. So.
Any other questions for Lori? Okay, moving on to 8.0.
Just a few items at our meeting last week. We are finally not having an issue with least restrictive environment, which has been an issue of too many kids, of students of one race or sexual orientation being expelled or in school suspensions more than others, and we finally have in the co-op have beaten that down to where we don't have it. We're not in an issue anymore. But we were in danger of losing a bunch of money, and our school administrators have jumped in and have taken care of that, and we're having fewer students, particularly black students, being expelled or put in school suspensions more than other races. We are in good shape on maintenance of effort, which means we have to spend more this year than we did last year, and we are on track to meet that goal. And we do it every year. If we don't, we lose money if we don't do that. The board did accept a bid to put in video surveillance equipment in the tech center, which will be done this summer. And actually they told us we'd wait till summer, they would even give us some equipment. So we elected to wait till summer to have it done, but we accepted the bid this last meeting. We took action to continue our affiliation with Infotech for next year, which is in service for our staff. We signed a revised memorandum of understanding with the Community Health Center. We noticed in the other agreement there were some issues that need to be corrected. Among those, giving them money if we get paid for our services rendered through different organizations. Some of that money comes to us, some of it goes directly to the provider. And we found that some of the revenue would be coming directly to us. It should go to the provider. So we put in an agreement, we would pay them that money that they are actually due. We have accepted another cost agreement with another speech language person. So we now have 5 online to become providers for us for speech language, which is going to reduce our costs because we pay a lot more for the online than we do for in-person. And by adding these people, we're going to save some money down the road. It's going to cost a little bit more right now, but down the road in 2 or 3 years, it's going to save us a bunch of money. That's pretty much it.
Any questions for Mr. Castle there? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to 9.0, reports by principals.
All right, so
Good evening.
I asked him to come today to give you some after-school and some summer school opportunities that we've got available, and they're working on planning.
Yep, still working on planning our summer school, our after-school stuff. We've got teachers working after school with kids, trying to get some credits made up from first semester. I asked them to kind of go back and look at, maybe, I'll just use my kid as an example, maybe Paxton failed a class because the last 3 weeks of school, he didn't get these couple things mastered. Give him the opportunity to come in and get that made up after school. So several of our teachers have taken advantage of that and have kids coming in. The unintended good consequence is that our eligibility list that I ran this morning is the smallest that we've had in the 2.5 years since we've had it. So not only are the kids, some of them are taking advantage of that opportunity, some of them are not, but they're the ones that are currently working on their grades, they're getting in and getting help from teachers too. As far as summer school goes, in the past, we've just had our library lab open. We've run an Edgenuity program. We've had one facilitator. This summer, we'd like to expand the time spent and have 2 labs versus 1. We've got 2 tri-county paras that we're going to have that will be in each of those rooms to help provide support. So by having multiple rooms and longer sessions, we can have fewer kids in there. So it might be instead of having 12 kids in an AM session, maybe we only have 6 kids, but there'd be 2 adults for those kids. Those are still being planned. I'm still trying to staff it. At this point in time, if we had to start it today, Mr. Barkus and I would probably be 2 of the facilitators in there, because teachers are not jumping up at the opportunity to spend 7 weeks over their summer to facilitate the Edgenuity. But we do have one of the rooms fully staffed so far, and we're just trying to see how we can expand that. In the social studies department, Ms. Corton has even said she would like to just have a traditional like summer school in her classroom where it's not Edgenuity. She could work with the other social studies teachers and say, hey, Mr. Reed, what did this student lack? What is it they need to do in the summer? And she could provide those resources and do it in person. And if I can't get all the room staffed for Edgenuity, that frees up a para that I could put with her. So it's still in the planning phases, but instead of having the one room, just Edgenuity, we're going to have multiple things that we're going to try. And the ESSER's money is something we're definitely going to lean on, because instead of having one person, it's possible I could have up to 9. So we'll obviously need some help with the summer school too.
Eric, can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah,
Now,
sure.
Edgenuity is all on the computer.
That's all on the computer.
And it's just the goals that they need to meet.
It is, what they've done is they've taken the Edgenuity class, let's say biology, and the biology teachers have taken and pared that down to, these are the things that we have in our biology class, and then they've recreated a course called PHS biology. So it's not the Edgenuity curriculum, it is the Edgenuity curriculum that has been tweaked by our staff. So that way they go, this is the stuff that we would teach in a normal class. But if you do Edgenuity, you're getting a 18-week course in 7 weeks. And you can work on it outside of school, you just take your tests and quizzes at school.
So let me ask you this.
Yep.
So right now, it looks like you're targeting kids that need credits, is that,
Yes. They need credit recovery.
okay?
Yeah.
So on the Kansas Association of School Boards, on our last few meetings, we're talking about trying to get all of our kids reconnected. So are you doing any of the Greenbush exploration camps at the high school?
I'm not familiar with the Green Book. I'd have to look at them, Lou.
It came out last week, and so that'll be something that we will offer to students, but I don't know. Historically, we've done some elementary offerings with that. I don't know if that might be something
Well,
we could use.
we still have
High school. We have
hiking
plenty of time.
trails, we still have a fishing club, trying to reconnect kids socially and emotionally. I know we want to do the academics, but everything that I read says, let's be careful about plunging back into academics we can't forget the social and emotional needs. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, what can we offer our other kids?
I'd have to look, Lou, because I've been so focused on
Yeah, I know.
the number of kids that failed first
I get
semester.
it.
We're trying to help them, but good point. So
Is there any-
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Is there any push to have, just for the normal, quote, average student to take any of the auto mechanics, welding, any of that? Is that a thought of, or?
In the
just
summer?
for- Yes.
I don't have I mean, you know as well as I do, those guys have summer jobs.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have an automotive person to have in that shop, or a welding person. They're busy with their own summer businesses, which are very lucrative for them.
Well, I didn't know if there was somebody else that could teach similar, just a spattering of this and that, just for something extra for the average student. That's what I was looking about.
Something extra as in not credit recovery, but I'm just looking for
Yes.
something to do this summer.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
But I didn't know if other schools did this, just an option, just
Okay.
thinking about it.
Anything else?
I know Mr. Barkus has some sports stuff from the AD spot, so let him go.
Start off with our winter sports finish last week, as Lori said, with our boys making their 4th consecutive trip to the state tournament. So congratulations to Coach Houck and his staff and all the young men that made that possible. I'd like to thank you guys for agreeing to go with the Acacia standards. You could have made them less stringent, you could have made them more stringent, but you made it something we could work with. So the last month when we had home games, I think it worked out very well, so I'd like to thank you guys for that. I'd like to thank Mr. Stark and the band, Coach Bedore and the cheerleaders, Coach Nance and the dance team for making every home game as loud as they possibly could, as well as Coach Shabby, our girls coach, and Coach Wiles, our wrestling coach, and all the other boys and girls coaches that had to work extra hard this COVID season. I'd also like to thank KLKC for live streaming all our basketball games. That was a luxury that was nice to have since fans were limited. Thanks to all the parents and fans for being understanding. For the most part, they were everywhere we went, and just not Parsons fans, just pretty much everywhere we went. Last week, I had the opportunity to hear some forensics next door to my office. Those kids are working hard. They got after it all day there next door. I could hear them coming in and out, and some of the arguments and some of the performances were quite loud. Musical practice for Mamma Mia started clear back in January. The good thing about that, Lou mentioned getting our kids involved. Mr. Ray, Mr. Miserel, and Mr. Brumback, they're actually building the set for Mamma Mia, so it's not being sourced out. They're actually, if you go to next door to Mr. Ray's room, you can see some set pieces that they're making. One drawback from the game last Monday was there was also a virtual orchestra concert. I got to come home after the basketball game and listen to that. They sounded amazing. Virtual band concert is this Thursday. We have a host of leadership at the end of the month going to Pittsburgh State. And cheer tryouts are going to be Saturday, April 3rd. Sometimes it seems like there's limited activities going on during COVID. But if you look at the list of stuff going on, there's still quite a lot of stuff going on. It's just not the same as being in person all the time.
What kind of numbers do you have in your spring activities?
Track's got 40, softball's 23, baseball's 27, golf is at 4, and tennis is at 10 as of now. Tennis actually starts tomorrow with matches at Forest Park, and baseball and softball start Thursday.
Lots of good things going on.
Yeah, lots of things going on.
Any questions for Mr. Barkus here?
So in the summertime, are the weights are just for athletes, or can other kids come in and do some activities?
Any student's welcome to come to summer weights. They're
That's
not
good.
sport specific.
Good.
Thank you, Rob, for all it was a big undertaking with all the sports, and I think we've really done amazing with everything we had to,
I haven't heard one complaint.
yeah.
Thank you.
Done good work.
Okay, thank you. All right, ready for middle school or elementary? Yep, that'll be fine.
And probably while we're waiting real quick, these Greenbush summer camps, Greenbush has expanded their offerings, and so that'll be something that'll be available to anyone K through 12. We're just gonna have to explore it and figure,
And as I just got this today, so as I read this,
Yeah, we just got it.
they can come to us, we don't always have to go to them.
Right.
So
If
that's,
there's something
I'm just saying, I would love to see this expanded, because it gets into astronomy, Kansas history, human body, chemistry, engineering. This is,
There's a lot of really good things.
Eric said he can't get some of his welding teachers and auto mechanics, well, we can get some of these people.
Right, and that's why they just put that out last Thursday.
All right.
Or Friday, and we will do the mental health grant, we've had the mental health grant in school, that does continue through the summertime.
And
So
there's
if they're-
also navigators.
So they have navigators, which is a psychosocial group, but if a student sees the therapist at school during the week, they'll still see the therapist during the week. If they have case management at school during the week, they're still gonna have case management, it'll just be outside of school, whether that be on their porch or, in their yard, something like that. So those things are available for every one of our students, K through 12, so. Okay, and I know the middle school has a good summer school. They've got some summer school opportunities as well.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm going to talk with you guys about our summer school proposal, and then Mr. Gordon, he'll come in and talk about athletics and activities that we have going on at the middle school. So the summer school plan that we have come up with is twofold. So we have a plan to address remediation and also a plan for enrichment. We are going to be looking at students who failed core classes in second semester, and those students would be required to attend summer school. We're proposing the summer school be Monday through Thursday from 8 to noon, and that students would only have to attend those classes in which they did not pass. We would use Study Island, which is a program that the district already pays for and students are familiar with, and we would assign learning pathways for those students. So the teachers would say, okay, these students need to go back and learn these indicators. And once the student successfully passes those indicators or those standards, they would be able to be dismissed from summer school. We would also like it to be that because the reason we're doing this is to show that learning is important, that whatever grade that they earn on Study Island, that they be able to replace that grade on their transcript. I think that that's only right, especially if they make the commitment to come. If we have students that choose not to come and they have failed their core classes, what we would propose for them to do is that the following semester, when they enroll in the fall, that they give up one of their elective courses to get additional remediation in the grade level content that they didn't master the previous year. For enrichment opportunities, we received a copy of the Greenbush information in one of our admin meetings. And so when our building leadership team was talking about enrichment, we thought that it would be great to take advantage of some of those opportunities. So that way it's stuff that's already planned ahead of time, and pretty much all we have to do is provide supervision. I did do a survey with my teachers back in January to get interest about who may be interested in teaching summer school. At that time, I had 4 teachers and 4 aides that were interested in doing summer school. So that would be good because we would have a teacher for each core content, and then that teacher would also have an aide to assist them. But if the MOU goes through with the PNEA, I may have even more teachers that may be interested, and we may be able to expand our enrichment opportunities even more for students.
And what she's talking about is currently teachers yet the extra duty pay is $15 an hour. And so if the board wanted to look at increasing that, which is something we'll talk about when we get to negotiations, but then we would have to talk to PNEA and say, specifically for summer school this summer, the board would be willing to pay, instead of $15 an hour, a different amount. So with the summer school we've had in the past, and at the elementary level, the pay has been significantly higher than the $15 an hour. So that's what she's referring to.
So let me get this clear. So if you have a student who's behind, let's say in math or English, they would have to come, and they don't go to summer camp or summer academy, or you call it a summer school, they would have to come back the following year and take if they like music, or if they like auto shop, they would have to give that up and take a double dose of language arts or math. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, if they choose not to attend.
And you would take that away from them?
Yes. Because it's also very important that if they don't master this core content, they're not set up for success at the high school. Eric and I have had conversations about the transition between middle school and high school, and what he has shared with me.
We disagree.
That's fine, but I just want to explain my rationale since it was a question that was presented. I feel like it's fair for me to respond to the board. Learning is important, and they have to master those standards. Eric has explained to me that once he gets kids from the middle school, that he has a very difficult time with his ninth graders understanding that learning is important and that you just don't get a grade for attending and get socially promoted. You actually have to earn credits to graduate. And so that's something that makes it very difficult for his job whenever we don't show students that they have some skin in the game as well, because it doesn't set them up for a successful transition into high school where those credits really do matter.
And in 7th and 8th grade, they have the opportunity for 2 electives.
Yes.
Right, so it wouldn't be.
And that's in all grade levels.
Right, so it wouldn't be that they wouldn't have any electives, but they would have to give up one of those electives.
If they choose not to
If they
come.
If they don't come and complete their
choose not to,
pathway.
To take advantage of the opportunity. So, and we're fortunate that we have our own buses, because that's something, we're going to be able to provide transportation for
Oh,
kids.
that's good.
We're going to be able
That'll
to pick
help
them
a
up.
lot.
Yeah.
Bring them, right, and the same thing with the Greenbush activities. Whether the Greenbush activities are held here on site, we'll be able to, take kids to where they are, or take kids to Greenbush for that.
That'll help kids on
The hospital is doing the summer food program in June and July as well, so we'll be able to make sure that our kids have breakfast and lunch each day as well, so.
How long will they have to attend summer school? I didn't get the number of weeks.
So it's scheduled for 4 weeks. It starts June the 7th and would end July the 1st. So it's 4 weeks, and it's Monday through Thursday, and it's a half a day.
Right. And so if they only needed math, they might only go Tuesday? Is that what I understand?
I would want them to come every single day, and as
Okay.
soon as they get their pathway completed, then if they get their pathway done in 2 weeks, you only have to come for 1 hour for 2 weeks, and then you're done with me.
Okay, I see that now, okay.
Trying to make sure there's a lot of flexibility for individual student need.
Because we also have athletes at our school that we're wanting to take advantage of weights and conditioning because we want to grow our athletic department as well.
Yeah, we want for all the kids to be able to participate in that, so want to make sure.
So would
We've got
this
some
also
flexibility.
apply to students with an F grade of more than one core class?
Yes. So if you failed 4 core classes, you're going to be there all 4 hours. If you failed 1, 2, none, you don't have to come to summer school at all unless you might be interested in an enrichment opportunity.
I like the sounds of offering the summer school, and and I think I disagree with Lou. If we're offering the summer school and they're not trying to right the prior wrong, since we offer that summer school, I think that's a way to hold them accountable.
In normal times, I would agree with you. This is not normal. We've got some serious issues going on in the United States. It just, Dr. Watson, Commissioner of Education, said we need to look at the way we set up our courses. For example, you can get a math credit if you take a woodworking class because there's math involved. You can do some of the English with some fishing. You can do some reading with fishing classes. There's a lot of ways we could do this. I understand it's, as an academician, you want kids to do their ABCs. All I'm saying is we've got some kids that are really struggling, and so are their parents.
What you're saying, Lou, is let's try and be creative if we can. In other words, it don't have to be sitting in front of computers. See, that's the only thing I'm leery about, sitting in front of that computer hour after hour. So there'll
So
be,
there would be whole group instruction for part of that hour
Oh,
over
okay.
what it is that they're doing. I'm sorry, I didn't explain that very
Okay.
well. There would be whole group instruction for part of the hour, but
Okay.
then they would have to go through their pathway to
path,
show
okay.
that they've reached their
Which is similar to what they're doing
competencies.
at the
I'm
high
sorry, I
school.
did not explain that
no,
well.
that's just fine. I
And there'd
just,
be the support staff in the classroom as
To
well.
assist with that.
help, which is the same.
So
thing as at
the
high school.
support groups, they could even break kids into small groups then when you have 2 teachers.
Well,
Because we're doing everything that we can to get our F list down. We've even repurposed some of our professional learning community time where 2 days out of the weeks that we're working with students that have Fs to try to get their grades up, and they're working in small groups with their teachers. So my goal is to not have any children to have to go to summer school. But I also don't feel right about them going to the next grade, and I know that they have not learned the competencies for the current grade level they're in. I feel like as an educator that I'm just setting those children up for failure. And I want to see all my kids succeed.
Well, and I think providing transportation will be a huge thing because a lot of times they just can't get there. And if they've got a bus to get them there, I think that'll make a huge difference, you know. And being out of school for so long, I just don't, summer school will be good for many of them.
I read somewhere the transportation was for elementary only.
Well, our transportation during the school year is for elementary only because we don't have enough buses.
But
to
summer school will be for,
Summer school we'll have the flexibility to pick up anybody.
I thought I read that in the summer school information.
I know that the elementary included transportation, and the middle school and high school may not have included that in their report, but they are eligible because we don't have the same strain on the system. We don't need the number.
And we would like for them to have transportation if at all possible, because that's one less barrier that they have to be able to successfully
And that's what we need
complete.
to make sure we're doing, is removing the barriers so that everybody has the opportunities.
but there'll be still some that'll be able to walk. They have that choice.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. I mean, if
Like
their
for
Ride
eighth
your
grade
bike.
if their
promotion.
parent wants to bring them, or they.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't have to worry about weather usually.
Not usually in
Yeah,
summer.
they could get dropped off, they
Make
could
sure
walk,
the
but
transportation's there, yeah.
And will you give them, is there any food available, that lunch will be, or not?
yeah, I believe Lori said that the Labette Health Hospital.
Right, so the
Yeah.
hospital's in charge of summer feeding, and when I talked to Adele last week, it still hasn't been decided if it's going to be every day, they're gonna feed breakfast and lunch, or if it's going to be one time a week, here's here's the meals. Now, it's
Oh.
still non-congregant, they won't be coming in the buildings and sitting in groups and eating. It is still a take and go is my understanding. But we will make sure that if for some reason, it's just like we did last summer, if there are students that aren't there on the day the meals are handed out, if they do it for the whole week, we'll make sure they get the meals.
Okay, because I was gonna say, if they're there, they might need a little snack or something before they go home, whatever.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions here before we,
Sounds like a plan.
okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'll be real quick. All right, so KISA's coming up. It's almost due. Our relationship survey is going to go out Wednesday and Thursday this week. And so that's why you're going to get ours probably last, Lori.
That's fine.
Is that I'll collect that data and then I'll send it over to you. It's the last thing I want to add. We celebrated academic and behavior rewards last week on Thursday. Getting into activities, golf has 10 athletes right now. They started March 1st. Tennis has 11 athletes. They started last Wednesday on the 10th. Track was our first practice tonight. We had 40 athletes show up. Our middle school play Auditions are scheduled the Tuesday after we get back from spring break, and so they'll start there, and then they'll be able to create their performance or present it. We're looking at either May 14th, May 20th, or May 21st, and so myself and Ms. Kay are kind of working that final date out. Fishing has 8 students in it. We're waiting on a handful of students to get their permission slip signed. They just started with the changing of the seasons. With Community in Schools, she brought 2 new programs for our students. She's offering an anime club that's really, really popular among our students. It's 34 students, so nearly the size of our track team right now, and 20 of them are 6th graders. And so we're getting to the point where we're able to start offering activities to these students, and especially the 6th graders. They're the ones that really missed out. We had athletics for 7th and 8th graders, but throughout COVID, a lot of the small clubs kind of got exited out or ex-nate. And so we're starting to bring some of those back. Anime is 34, like I said. Journaling club just started with 4. Our chess team took 12th in the state this weekend on Saturday. We had Lucas Fugate finish 12th individually. Ava Durkin, who's a 6th grader, and David Hinman, who's a 6th grader. They were also state qualifiers on that team. And they finished 12th as a team. Our Scholars Bowl just finished their season a week or so ago on March 8th, and they took top 3 at every single competition. And that's another team that's really 6th grade heavy. So we have a lot of intelligence coming, I guess, in that 6th grade class to look forward to. Some brightness there. And that's it for my activities. Any questions?
Thank you. Sounds
Okay,
good.
thank you very much.
Good stuff.
Yep, see you guys.
See ya. Good work.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're offering at Lincoln as far as the after-school program. We're calling it the Reading Club, and it started March 2nd, and we're going to finish May 12th. We go on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 3:30 to 4:25. We do have some kids that do get transportation home after that. We're going to we are targeting students scoring in the strategic level on DIBELS oral reading fluency. So that's like reading 23, 33 words per minute at 68% to 77% accuracy. And our plan is that we have 1 classroom teacher with 4 of her students and 1 instructional coach with 6 students. So that's 10 students that we're reaching right now. We're not mixing students from classes just because of COVID, so we're kind of trying to keep that separate. Some of the skills that they're working on are oral reading fluency, sight word fluency, nonsense word fluency, and comprehension, which are all of those DIBELS skills. And then the goal of this is to get those kids to the 85% of participating students to the benchmark level or above. So we're gonna do that. And I know this isn't our reading club, but we did get a book machine at Lincoln. So I don't know if some of you saw that in the paper. So we've got this machine that looks like a vending machine, but it's full of books. So kids have been earning these gold coins to get the books, and they are so excited. And so they can earn it for not just academics, they can earn it for being kind. They can earn it for, maybe picking up some trash or something that they didn't have to. So they can be caught being good to earn those. So that is like really an exciting thing for Lincoln. I mean, all the kids just want one of those books. And we've given out probably 30 books, and we just started it maybe like a week ago. So anyway, that's Lincoln.
And the machine is very exciting.
Shelley, how will you be able to replenish the book?
Yeah, I think so. I got I think it holds about 400 books, 300, 400 books. Mm-hmm. So we've got it full right now. Well, we've loaded a little bit, but so we've got it just full of just different kinds of books, different levels of books. We have from chapter books to, those real easy read, decodable books. So, I mean, there's something for everyone. And it's just, the kids just really want to earn a coin. Like sometimes they'll do something, go, can I have a coin for that? Maybe not quite, Shouldn't really ask for one, but anyway, I just wanted to kind of mention that too.
Good evening. Our after-school program has been in session for 6 weeks now. 63 students are benefiting from this targeted intervention time. Classroom teachers have their own students and are in charge of specific instruction and learning targets. AIR is another layer of intervention that is over and above the targeted support during the school day. Currently, 21% of these students are riding the bus that we provide for any of them that need it. April 28th through May the 7th, our second and third graders will be taking MAP tests. And this is our end of the year spring tests. Our elementary instructional coaches continue to be responsive to the academic needs of our students by making sure that our teachers and our Title I interventionists have evidence-based resources readily available to meet student needs. I have been working to finish up all the certified and classified evaluations for the school year. Third graders are getting ready for state assessments. They will start on April 13th for ELA, and they will begin April 20th for math. They have been taking interim tests to familiarize the third graders with the testing site and the testing protocol, since this is the first year that they test. We are organizing staff and parent encouragement notes, and we will have a breakfast of champions for them the day before testing starts. And we're asking parents if they can help us by bringing testing snacks. State assessment results should be back by the end of the school year. Garfield is in the middle of a virtual book fair right now, which ends this Sunday, March 21st.
Good evening. At Guthridge, we've taken a page, we kind of copied off what Misty's doing at Garfield when we visited a few weeks ago. Our students had lost some instruction time, and our January MAP scores were predictable but concerning. And I think I shared that we had cut back on our math intervention, so Ms. Piva helped develop a plan similar to what they're doing. So we've got 18 to 20 kids staying after school in small groups. They're staying Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and it's going to be very similar to what we're doing this summer. But it is designed by our instructional coaches. It's targeting simply gaps in their math or gaps in their reading, intervention style. And I think we're on the right path. If you've worked with students, well, for a long time I make a lot of phone calls to parents, and a lot of those phone calls go unanswered. And so we picked our kids. We targeted fourth graders. We targeted those kids and tried to build 2 perfect groups for each day. So we had 25 potential kids we're going to call, and only one parent didn't want to take advantage of this, and that's because they'd had a personal, they couldn't make it work due to some family things going on. They'd had a surgery in the family, but every parent was greatly appreciative. And we're targeting those kids that are not quite at grade level, those kids that get lost a lot. So, and it's worked really well. I think Michelle told me that we had 90% attendance so far. She monitors it all. She takes care of it. We've got a couple staff members that stay after school every day, and we do have some busing help. Most of our parents are dropping kids off. I think we have 3 kids that use the bus. 1 is kind of temporary, but out of the, we got 100 fourth graders, and we got 20 of them that we're going to try to work at. So we're going to use that model, I think, this summer. Let me think what else is going on. Parent-teacher conferences, and then I'm really proud of Cody. Thank you, Miss Ray. That's a heck of an honor. He's well-deserving. I can't even read my own notes. State assessments. Big deal. Coming up, 5th grade, they'll be doing science here in a couple weeks, and then we'll go 4th and 5th grade do ELA and math. But looking at what our MAP scores told us in January, and I think it's comparative, we're all going to be in the same kind of gap. The kids, it's been a rough time, so we're going to see how we do, and we'll do the best we can. Things are going pretty well at Guthridge.
Thank you.
You're up, Ms. Misty.
I think Misty's going to talk about the summer school. The summer opportunities are going to look very similar for all the buildings, so that there's some consistency.
In an effort to be responsive to the current needs of our culture, our 3 elementary schools are hosting summer school. It will be held June 7th through July 1st, Monday through Thursday for 4 weeks. The theme is Viking Explorers Sail into Summer. It will look different than we have done summer school in the past. The goal of KRR was to help students maintain what they had learned during the school year to avoid a summer slide. The goal of this year's summer school is to intervene in closing the learning gap caused by the COVID slide. We must use every opportunity to close the gap between where students are academically and where they should be. The students will be selected using end-of-the-year DIBELS data for all 3 buildings and NWEA MAP spring data for 2nd through 5th grade. The plan would be to have 5 certified teachers at each building teach a small group of students in a 1-hour slot. This would allow us to give targeted, skill-based interventions to approximately 60 students per building. And this would be little, if none, technology, iPad. This would be hands-on small group instruction. The first set of small groups would arrive at 9, the second group at 10, the third group at 11. And so the transportation, it would just be this rotation, one group going in, another group coming out. Instructional coaches will oversee each elementary building's summer school. They will collaborate with teachers to coordinate assessment materials and instructional supplies. They will organize and take frequent formative assessments of each student as they progress and analyze daily and weekly data for instructional changes. 1 classified staff would be hired per building to answer the phone and manage transportation needs. It would be pretty much impossible to be the one to oversee it and handle that stuff at the same time. And then lastly, transportation will be provided for any that need it. Per building.
Trying to think 60 kids per week. Hopefully we'll see an impact.
And this is just remedial students.
They'll be probably, we'll try to design the groups based upon their needs, so it'll be similar groups. So as Michelle did, and I think they've all done it, they just dive into that data, and we picked, after school, we picked 25 kids, and you could just see this group. And so we had four, and then a couple backups, just because we wanted to have them so the instruction could be right in that one little area, wherever their gaps were. And I think we'll see our biggest impact. Our coaches have really worked hard on that. That's, I look at what our instructional coaches do, and, coming from the high school and going to the middle school and going to elementary, they're so differently difficult, but they're probably the most powerful impactors in our buildings in terms of making sure that what we're doing is designed right for those kids where they need it. And all 3 of us have great instructional coaches. We've had, from Tony to, Susan at the high school, Miss Good, they're strong. They're probably they're invaluable. They do a heck of a job.
Thank you, guys. A lot of work.
Yeah.
Planning that, lots of
Behind the scenes, a lot of work.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, as indicated when we started the meeting, we are moving item 10.0 down to after executive session. So we'll move to new business, item 11.0, action to accept donations to schools.
These are on page 36 of your board packet. At the district office, we did receive 4 grants from Gen Youth for food service for a COVID expense reimbursement grant. 1 at Garfield, 1 at Guthridge, 1 at Lincoln, and 1 at the middle school. Those were each for $2,000, so a total of $8,000 was awarded for those grants. So Garfield Elementary also received a donation from Parsons Public Library, the weekly craft bags valued at $400, and the PTO made a donation at Garfield for their meals for parent-teacher conferences valued at $150, so for a total of $550. At Lincoln Elementary, the Parsons Public Library again donated those weekly craft bags valued at $60. The Good Samaritan Society donated cloth masks for students valued at $250. And there was an anonymous donation for learning supplies for Mrs. Kennett's kindergarten class, $20. So there's $330 donated to Lincoln. There were no donations at Guthridge this month. At the middle school, there was an anonymous donation a restricted donation of clothing valued at $100. So there was $100 of donations at the middle school. This month at the high school, Eric Stark made a donation of $200 to the band program. Robert Clark made a $250 donation to National Honor Society. I can't say it. Ohio Pile Prince made a donation for $20.22 for the Positive Recognition Program at the high school. And then Strategic Partners made a donation for the weightlifting, $950. So for a total of $1,420.22 donation-wise at the high school. So that meant the total district donations for the month of February, $10,400.22. So we appreciate those folks and their generosity. I'd recommend that you approve those.
I move we accept the donations.
Been moved and seconded to accept those donations. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 11.1, action on the JAG partnership agreement.
Okay, so we've had JAG in the district for a number of years, that partnership that works at the high school. There is an $11,000 fee. That fee has not increased in the years that we've had JAG. So I would recommend that you approve that agreement.
So do they do summer school?
Does JAG do summer school?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, any student that's in JAG is eligible for would be eligible for summer opportunities. I don't know if she does something separate, specifically for summer school. Does she do something specifically for summer school?
No, Eric just said before he left, he said both the Communities in School and the JAG program are two programs that support the social and emotional well-being of high school students and middle school students.
Just during does that include the summer?
That would be a question I would have to ask.
I'm not sure.
The instructor.
That's all I
He
want.
just said was the social and emotional.
Because I would say if it did, that would be a plus.
And I do know that a lot of times those relationships that they build, they still, make connections when needed, but I don't know that there's a formalized program that they offer.
Well, in years past, we've always had the awards program at the end of the year,
Right.
their accomplishments, and couldn't do that this year, but.
But they are working, so I would recommend that you approve that continued partnership.
So moved.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, been moved and seconded to adopt that partnership agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 11.2, action on 21-22 student and athletic accident insurance renewal.
Okay, so we have two insurance policies that cover student accidents in the district, and that they cover them for all of our enrolled students. The first one is, it's a program where the student's primary insurance pays their portion, and then our insurance it's considered a secondary insurance, first agency, would pick up 70% of the deductible costs for parents. I mean, it's used extensively, it's used often. I think when I call, they know Matt Ray's name, seems like. So, and the cost for that is the same as it was last year, that has not increased. So there's also the catastrophic accident policy, and there's a certain fee based on enrollment. And that would give parents additional funds if there was a catastrophe, and the total of that was reduced in cost by $38. So it's really so that's where we're at. So I would recommend that you approve both the student and athletic accident insurance renewal.
And this is in addition to the activity associations, which we'll pay later in the year, right?
That is correct.
Okay, is there a motion to renew that policy?
So moved.
Okay, been moved and seconded by Mr. Castle. He's the second to renew that policy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 11.3, action on the Communities and Schools Memorandum of Understanding.
Okay, so communities in school, we've had them for a number of years as well. The rate, the cost has not increased for the usage at the high school. This year, we did add a middle school program at no cost. Communities in School, LaShawn contacted us early last summer and said, hey, what about, the possibility of offering that program at the middle school? So we did. It's met with much success as well. So there is a cost for that, the $9,999 that was listed. Both of these programs provide good support for our students and for our families. So my recommendation would be that you approve that for the middle school and the high school for the 21-22 school year.
Is there a motion to do that, please?
Move to approve communities and schools for the next academic year.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve that Communities and Schools Memorandum of Understanding. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries. 11.4, action on the 21-22 academic calendar.
All right, that's on page 50. So this year, we did it a little bit different. We sent the calendars, all three of the options out early, and people were able to get feedback and different suggestions and ideas. And then on Monday, the group met and were able to bring back that feedback and select the calendar that is attached. So it is 168 days for students, 177 and a half days for teachers, and that includes the 9.5 days of professional development. And it also includes 4 days where they would dismiss so that they could work on grades, which are a part of the negotiated agreement. So thanks to Olivia Lyons, Tyler Gordon, Rob Barkus, Whitney Spencer, Melissa Peak, Mary Fries, Michelle Smith, Kelly Bedore, Wade Liska, Penny Jacquino, and Kurt Fries. They were our calendar committee this year, and they got it done in record time. And it is attached. The format is a little different in calendars in the past. Sometimes less is more. And what we found is we felt like this format would be easier for people to read. But it is attached, and I would recommend that you approve the calendar for the 21-22 school year.
I've got a question.
Okay, sure.
Was there any thought, and it's no big deal, in November of the 1 and 2, putting it down for a fall break there? Was that even mentioned at all?
I don't think that was mentioned. Originally, that conference comp day had been scheduled for the 29th of October. And so the feedback was, okay, wait a minute, for elementary, then we have Halloween parties, and then we would miss that to have to bump it back. And then for our high school students as well, if there is an activity or an event on a Friday, having school out,
Right.
that makes it difficult. So that's why the consensus was to bump it to the 1st, is my understanding. And then the 2nd is a full day of professional development. But
That's just fine. That's all right.
someone might have been interested in that.
I just was trying to streamline, but if it was professional development, never mind.
There
I
is
thought it
one
was
day of
another day.
professional development.
I'll pay it. It's okay with me. That's what they want.
Is that a motion, Roger, to adopt the
I
calendar?
guess it is, but let me, before I do that motion.
Okay.
No snow, we're not worrying about snow days like we have in the past. We'll just take them
Well-
as we get them, right?
Well, down here, there are makeup days that are put into the calendar, and those would be the board's discretion. And so February the 21st, which is President's Day,
Oh, I see it now. Yeah, okay.
and so that could be a makeup day. April the 18th could be a possible makeup day, and then May the 20th tacked on at the end. But that's totally, those are the, up to the
Okay,
board.
good enough.
And hopefully next year there'll be no bad weather. We won't have any freezing.
I so move. We're all done.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to adopt the academic calendar as printed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And moving on to
Can I
11.5.
stop you for a minute?
Oh, yeah.
Going back to
I got you.
11.3, actions on communities and schools with America, memorandum of understanding. I reread that, and there's nothing in there that says how long their contract is, working at the school. There's nothing. So I would like to have that clarified so we know, are they working just during the school year, or does that include summer?
You mean the communities and school staff? I don't know.
Yeah, well,
It's for a school year, but I don't know if, but like I
Well, there's
said,
nothing in the memorandum of understanding, so I guess I don't understand.
well, it's for the 21-22 school year, but I don't know if they have summer
Well,
opportunities as well.
So I'm asking for clarification.
Okay?
Same thing with JAG.
Same thing with Jeff, just the summer.
It'd be nice if they did the summer. That's all. Sorry.
Okay, so we do have, on our addendum, we've got an 11.4A, so we need to take that up, which deals with the modified quarantine.
It does, and so in your stack of things this evening, there was this, it also came in your view on Friday.
Yep.
So that you can see it. This was given, sent to me on Thursday from the health department. As, you know, in the past, quarantine had not, that we were not able to have any kind of a modified quarantine at all. But now it is a possibility if the board elects to use it. At this point, I feel like our third quarter numbers are good. Our quarantines have not been particularly high. I think with spring break coming, I did have a physician call me after 506 adopted a modified quarantine. And then after that, we were provided with what it looked like. I did have a physician in town, a pediatrician in town, call and say, "Oh, what you're doing now is working, keep doing it." You know, not, his recommendation was that we not, do anything different. So, and I think with spring break coming up, and the majority of our staff have been vaccinated and are past the 14 days, so they would not be required to quarantine. My recommendation would be that we continue with what we're doing and that we not adopt a modified quarantine. But it's possible we could revisit in April if you'd like to do that, to see what the month brings. But at this point, it's my understanding the new variant is in Lebec County. And so I just feel like we need to continue to stay the road. We've got 9 weeks left, but I'd be happy to.
I'd kind of like to revisit in April, just because, I think we're doing the right thing now, and spring break is my big concern.
So, we've not had the classroom transmission from, if a student in the classroom had it, and then, those kids quarantined, and then someone in quarantine then later came up. We've not had that. We have had it in athletics and in activities. Mm-hmm. There has been some of that, second 9 weeks and third 9 weeks. But there hasn't been I was only exposed to someone in a classroom. I was quarantined because of that and then developed COVID. We've not had any of that.
So does someone want to make a motion to adopt the modified quarantine?
Do we have to, or do we?
Do you not have, I'm saying, if someone wants to make a motion to adopt it, then we can move in that direction. If there is no motion and second to adopt the modified quarantine, then we're going to move on with the agenda.
And we would just continue doing what we have done.
Continue doing what we're doing.
What we're doing right now, which is
Stay the course.
Is staying the course. And it is, if you're exposed in the classroom, 10 minutes, 6 feet or more, and you've not been vaccinated, it's 10 days out.
We've been doing the right thing, and we've been playing it really safe. I think that's a good thing. But I talked to some ladies today at Core Swimming, and some of them went to Joplin, to different restaurants. It's full-blown open up. It's wide open, no masking, loaded restaurants. So we're trying to do a good job. The sad part is places around us aren't, but I'm with you on that.
I think.
So I'm not going to make a motion.
Okay.
As is.
Anybody else have any comments?
Okay, so we'll just continue with the current quarantine procedures.
Moving on to 11.5, executive session.
Got a little restroom break here, can we?
We can. So, Ms. Ray has told me she needs 30 minutes. Is there any board members that need?
About 10, maybe.
10 minutes?
Roughly.
And we could probably do 20. But.
Let's
Want to take a break first?
Let's, we'll take a break, but we'll go ahead and set this executive session up 5 minutes after the break. So let's go ahead with a half hour first, and so we need an executive session motion for a half hour.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And moved and seconded, we go into executive session, discuss confidential employee information pursuant to non-elected personnel exception under COMA and the exception for employer-employee negotiations under COMA. And that will happen at 7:35 because we are going to take a 5-minute break beforehand. And we will come back to this room at 8:05 in open session. And initially in this executive session, we will have Tanya Phillips and Barb McClellan will be with us, and then they will leave, and we may bring others in as well, but we will let the record reflect that once we figure that out, plus the superintendent, assistant superintendent, okay? That's the motion, that's the second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we are recessed for 5 minutes, then executive session at 7:35 to 8:05.
Man.
Okay, we're back in open session. We need to extend, re-enter executive session. And so we probably need 15 minutes. And so someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we go back into executive session for 15 more minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to enter executive session, discuss confidentially employment information pursuant to non-elected personnel exception under COMA and the exception for employee negotiations under COMA at 8:06 for 15 minutes. We'll return to this open meeting room at 8:21. We will have assistant superintendent and superintendent. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries. In executive session until 8:21. Okay, we're back in open session, and we're going to go to item 10, which was the discussion and action on the technology department structure and staffing changes. So, Mr. McGuire, if you want to come in here. And so, we heard from you last month. It was tabled to action this month. If you could just give a very brief overview of what you're requesting, and then if there are any questions, we'll address them and then take action.
Okay, did everyone get this as part of their packet a week after the last board meeting?
Yeah.
They have the financial information in there. If anyone wants a copy of it, I have them. Does anyone need it? I'd ask that you turn them back in, since they do have confidential employee information on there. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's the whole
Wait
thing.
wait a second, this is a public meeting.
Yeah,
You can't hand that out?
yeah, so if we were gonna review something like this, we need to review it in executive session, I think. If
Well, I'm not gonna talk about
But you
the,
can't hand it out, because then the public should have access to it.
Yeah, if we were gonna do this and look at this, we need to do that in executive session, since it's got names and salaries on it. I don't wanna look at that in a public
okay,
meeting.
so I'll just, sorry, I apologize.
That
for
was my fault.
Did everyone get a chance to look at that at least from?
It was included in the view.
Okay, so on the last page, there was a kind of the overview of really what I was asking for. And I'm asking for the board to approve the creation of 2 new positions, the grade school technology assistant and the assistant technology hardware technician. These positions are needed to allow the tech department to more sufficiently and successfully respond to the changed technology support landscape brought on by one-to-one device implementation. Technology is an ever-changing field, and we need to update the structure of the technology department in response to these most recent changes. Contingent on the approval of the 2 new positions, I am asking for the board to remove 2 current positions, the Lincoln Tech Aide and the Guthridge Tech Aide. The technology workload of these positions would fall on the newly created grade school technology assistant position. The Garfield Tech Aide position will remain for now, but the plan is to leave it unfilled when it becomes unoccupied. Eliminate the position altogether once it is unoccupied, and to transfer that technology workload to the newly created technology assistant position once it is unoccupied. So approval of these changes should come with the understanding that the financial impact to the district, and this is an overall global amount, could potentially save $20,000 from the contingency A, depending on some staffing decisions, or it may cost an additional $11,200 for contingency B, contingent on staff decisions. As a final note, after having discussions with the Garfield and Guthridge principals, we are in agreement that hiring 1 additional building aide in each of these buildings to offset the loss of the technology aide would be highly recommended. These positions would work lunch duty, cover for teachers when in collaboration, cover for the secretary in the office, as well as perform any non-technology related duties as assigned by the principals. This would increase the cost to the district by an additional $22,340 if we needed 1, or times 2 for that if we needed 2 of them. I do not feel that the board needs to take any action on this note at this time, as it is a building level issue. But after talking with the principals, I needed to at least address that issue with you all tonight, so. And I mean, I'm asking for a rearrangement of staff, the creation of some new positions, and elimination of old positions, bringing my total staffing to 7.
Okay.
Currently, you have 6.
Currently, I have 6 with a 7th position unfilled.
Right. So this would just be, then we would have 7 positions, and everything would be filled.
Correct.
We've gone to one-to-one, so now we've increased all the actual hardware and the devices, and you're asking for the person to help keep that up to date so that we don't have deferred maintenance
Yeah, I mean,
we're able to use.
these grade school positions were created when we had one lab of 20 computers.
Right.
So,
Okay, other questions for Mr. McGuire here?
Yes, what's the pay difference going to be for the elementary person? From what they get now to what they'll go to?
that was outlined on there.
Well, I don't have it.
Yeah, just give us general, don't mention names, just kind of just give us the increase.
About $5,000.
Part of that's going to include the travel and what you get when you work at more than one building, part of that.
But you're only working at 2 buildings, right?
So there would be.
2 or possibly 3 buildings,
Right, at the elementary.
depending on
I thought you said
staffing
Garfield was
decisions.
gonna have that one, not?
Well, we don't know yet
We don't know. Depends on,
what happens.
So what's the pay difference on the one that's under you then? What's that gonna be?
In terms of where they're at now and where they're moving to,
Yes.
7,000.
Seems like a pretty good jump there. To me.
Is that moving from part-time position versus, or 10, 11 months to 12 months?
Nope. Both of those positions would stay. One is the 36 week and the other is already 52 weeks. The new position I'd be creating at the high school would move from 52 weeks to 36 weeks. So I would not be receiving an additional person in the summer.
because the hardware person that you're asking, the new position is a 12-month employee.
Already, and will stay a 12-month employee.
And so that position is for 12 months. So the high school tech aide that position would stay the same, which is only during the school year.
Well, right now it's all year, but yes, it would
Right. It
change
would
to only be
change to
during the
just
school
during
year.
the school
That's correct.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. McGuire? Okay, we need a motion to either adopt his new technology department structure and staffing changes, or a motion not to adopt them. We can handle it either way, I guess.
I think it's just important to remember with the amount of investment we've made in the technology, in order for students and staff to continue to be able to use it and for it to be in good working order, we're going to need more hands to get that done because we have a lot more devices. So.
That's
Well,
true.
With that being said, I do have a question. At a recent Zoom meeting with the board presidents, school board presidents, and vice presidents last week, one of the board members brought up from a much larger school district, they just went to one-to-one, and he said they have a technology utilization deficiency. So can you address that? Is this hiring these people, will that address that, or have you already addressed it in another way?
No, the plan was for that to be handled through Matt Peak's position.
And
So the technology integration specialist, and we're actually looking at potentially hiring a second one for this year, but we've tabled that for a year to get this going instead, so we can at least service what we have and then utilize more in the future.
Right. We have the integration specialist already hired. That's what Matthew Peak has done.
Mhm.
So he's made sure that the materials, the tech that our teachers have and that our students have, they're able to use. And so he's provided the trainings for teachers whenever we get new textbooks. Now there's always an online component. He's done a good job of making sure that's ready and rolled out for staff.
All right, so the answer is you already have it, okay. You don't have to-
We do.
We've already started on it, yes.
When does this take effect?
This would take effect immediately after the school year.
So July 1?
June 11th.
Or,
Probably
yeah,
June.
it depends on,
June.
Probably June.
It depends on how hard it is to get another position filled. And if we can get that person, if I get approved to get them in the summer, to get them a head start on stuff, so I'm just trying to get past this initial phase first, so.
The only problem I have with it is, you came before us wanting pay raises and bonuses for you guys a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So now, we're gonna up more people and spend more money. And other people were not so privileged to be able to have those raises. This, I just don't.
You know,
They're on the pay scale.
Right. That's why we.
I have mine from the last time, but they are starting higher than what they would have.
I know.
And so based on the pay scale that the board adopted, depending upon the job that you do, that puts you in a certain category, which puts you a certain spot on the pay scale.
I agree, but do you understand what I'm saying, Joanne? Some people are they're getting 2 raises within 6 months.
Because they're changing positions.
Because they're
I
changing
don't,
positions.
yeah, I don't see it that way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yes, when we gave you those bonuses and those up the thing, yes, we did.
No, yes, I know, yes, we got a bonus and we got a pay increase, that's correct,
you're-
because I came and fought for it
Yeah, but
as the director of the
your
technology
department
department.
was the only one that got it.
Well, there
I
were-
came and fought for it for my department, so.
I don't
Yeah.
think, I'm just saying, that's
There were-
why I'm against it, because I don't think that's fair for everybody. That's
And
my
there were
thought.
other
Okay, well-
bonuses that were given. So,
Okay, do we have a motion here?
I make a motion, we accept the recommendation from Mr. McGuire.
Okay, is there a motion on the floor? Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, there's a motion and a second to adopt the structure and staffing changes. Any further discussion before we take a vote? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No,
No.
3 nays, 4 yeas, 3 nays. Motion carries.
Thank you very much for your time.
Moving on to our next agenda item, which would be 11.6, discussion and action on food service for 21-22.
and so we have had a food service company that we have used for the last 4 or 5 years. And that, at the time, that was a good move. Are Tanya and
Yes, they're here.
Barb coming? Yeah, they're going to talk about. Tanya is our authorized representative for the food service, which means even though she's not a food service person, she's our business manager. She and Barb are really still all responsible for all of the food service work, which has continued to increase through the years. So if you kind of want to.
So just a brief summary on, we started with Food Service Management Company at least 6 years ago. I believe that there were 2 different ones. One left us first in the beginning, and it was great. According to that, I can't speak for everyone then and can't presume to be what they were thinking, but I have heard wonderful things about how it used to be. And I can speak for when I started in 2017, and it was good. But I feel like there have been several changes that have happened since then. A lot of requirements coming from KSDE that are putting the squeeze on us, and being the nature of a for-profit company, the Food Service Management Company is also responsible to their stakeholders and their shareholders, and so they have to push back in certain ways. I just feel like it's come to a fork in the road, so to speak. And especially with the, go ahead.
So it's been the recommendation that we do what, Ms. Ray?
So I would recommend that for the 21-22 school year, we do our own self-operating food service program.
So
and
we,
beyond.
well, we're gonna start 21-22 and
Start
then we'll.
21-22.
Well, that just sounds like we're not gonna jump in a year though, are we?
I
We're going on.
think, yeah, I would think that if we go back in the food business, we're gonna stay there for a while unless we evaluate other opportunities that are better.
And at this point, there are, I feel like there are.
I'll make a motion.
Sounds good to me. I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to go into a self-operating food service for 21-22. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, ladies, for sticking around
Yeah,
and moving that direction.
Bye.
Item 11.7, motion to approve the negotiations letter to PNEA.
So those would include the 3 items that we discussed during executive session. And that letter would be exchanged on March the 31st.
and then we would enter negotiations at a later determined time.
That is correct.
And we'll figure out later if we want a professional negotiator to assist us or not. But
That
for
is
now,
correct.
we just need to approve the letter. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the negotiations letter to PNEA. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 11.8, action on personnel.
Okay, so we've got these recommendations for employment. Down at the bottom, the middle school assistant golf coach, you will remove that. And the numbers have fluctuated enough and have gone down that an assistant is not needed at this time. Okay, they don't have the numbers to support that. So that one would be removed. But we've got Tyler Beardmore, high school boys head tennis, Raheem DeMoss, middle school assistant track, Larry and Kendricks, middle school dramatics head, Chris Palmier, high school assistant baseball, Jane Posh, high school boys assistant tennis. So I would recommend that you approve those employments.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve those recommendations for employment. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Okay, on the back, we've got resignations for employment. The Title I aide, that's the first one, that resignation has been rescinded. So if you would remove that one from the top of the list, that does leave 3 resignations. So we have Rachel Skinner, high school, middle school art teacher. At the end of the year, we're resigning. She's moving out of state. Tony Yanez, first grade teacher. At the end of the 2021 school year is also moving. And then on the addendum over here, 11, still under that resignation, we have Sherry Spare, who was a retired teacher that came back to become a Title I aide interventionist. She's going to re-retire effective the end of the 2021 school year. So I recommend that you accept those 3 resignations from employment.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept those resignations from employment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay, and the last thing we have 2 resignations for retirement. Tony Habiger, elementary instructional coach for the district, and Brenda Martin, Garfield instructional Title I aide. So both of those ladies have been with us for a number of years, a lot of experience, but they are going to get the opportunity to retire at the end of this year. So I recommend that you approve those resignations for retirement.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded to accept those resignations. Ms. Habiger was my 4th grade teacher in 1982, so she does go back a ways. So all those in favor of accepting those resignations for retirement, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. So seeing nothing further, it does appear we are adjourned for this evening.
All right, thank you.